On Sunday, Shane preached about God's way, and he talked about Saul and Saul's disobedience, and what happened because of Saul's disobedience, which ultimately led to Saul's demise. And Saul did not have the fear of the Lord. He did not have the fear of the Lord. And when we got back from Brazil, I started seeing things. I had a very casual relationship with the Lord. And the way I looked at our relationship, it was like my friend, kind of my buddy. And the Lord really started pressing on me. And, I began weeping in the Spirit, crying out right when we got back from Brazil for the fear of the Lord. And I realized that as I've been at H.O.T, as I've gone through that deliverance process, and everyone's is different, maybe it's been 2 years now, and as I'm going through it, God keeps removing fear of the world from me. Fear, I got less fear, and now there's an empty hole, and I realized I didn't have the fear of the Lord. I had man's fear. I had Babylon's fear. I had the world's fear in me. So there was an empty vacuum. And so I started crying out to the Lord. I said, God, you got to give me fear of the Lord. And I said, I really don't even know what fear of the Lord is, just that I need to have it. I mean, I could religiously ask for it and do things in a religious kind of way, but that's not what I want. What I wanted was pure fear of the Lord. And it was almost like I was serving two masters, because I was serving man's fear, and I had this casual relationship with God. So those two things were at enmity with each other, and that was happening. And so I looked up the word fear, because I didn't know the definition of it. And today's definition of fear is an unpleasant emotion or anxiety. And the dictionary, Webster Dictionary, actually called the real biblical definition of fear archaic. The old-fashioned definition, archaic definition of fear is reverence. And what I really sought for is reverence of the Lord. And it's not the anxiety fear, it's not the crushing fear, it's not the condemnation fear. I wanted contentment, I wanted peace, and I wanted pure fear of the Lord. So this has been going on a couple of weeks. We've been back for 2 weeks. And the Lord showed me that the fear that man gives us is a counterfeit fear. In fact, when I looked it up, almost every book in the Bible has scriptures in it about fear. What is there, like 66 books?
Yep.
Almost every book has, God says something about fear, yet we don't really talk about it. So I purport it's a counterfeit fear. It's an illusion from Satan. It's at enmity with faith. Fear fights faith, and faith fights fear. And so I want to talk about the counterfeit fear. And if you think about what Shane was preaching about, Saul represented today's church. And they are so full of pride and so full of fear. And so let's see. Let's talk about fear. There's fear of what's happening in the world. There's fear of speaking out. There's fear of feeling inadequate, not having enough. In fact, I encountered that last Friday when we were strengthening our prophetic, what we were doing on Friday, when I didn't want to go up. I didn't want to go up because I was afraid I was inadequate. I didn't have enough to say. It wasn't anything about me, right? It was all about what God was going to say through me. But again, it was that fear of being inadequate. And I think there's many of us here that had that same thing, because we did not go up. And I really believe God's going to change that tonight. I said, what else, Lord? What else? He goes, well, there's fear of doctor reports. Have that fear of that diagnosis. There's fear of lack. You talked about that, Ron, the starvation. There's fear of lack. And by the way, that leads to the poverty spirit, right? Because if we're holding on to that fear, which is really pride, I guess. There's fear of lack. It's a poverty spirit. There's fear of losing the ones that we love. It's hard. There's fear of loneliness. And there's even fear of the truth. Could that be? Because, man, I thought we're standing in the house of truth, right? I think God's going to remove a lot of that fear today. Gave me Psalm 27:1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? And I was also searching, and I came across Luke 21:26. Man's heart will fail them for fear. So we can say, oh, we'll never take the mark of the beast. We'll never do this. We'll never do that. But if we have fear of man, that is what's going to make us bow. That's what's going to make us bow. So these are all open doors. And I just want to read those to you again one more time. Fear of what's going on in the world. Fear of speaking out. Man-pleasing spirit. Fear of speaking out. Fear of being inadequate. Fear of doctors' reports. Fear of lack. Fear of losing the people we love. The fear of loneliness. And the fear of truth. So Saul did not have the fear of the Lord. And when we have the spirit of fear, it blinds us, guys. It blinds us so we can hardly move, like we're frozen. It blinds us. And I saw that on Monday when we were having prayer. I thought I was in the spirit. I thought all this stuff, and I was a little anxious about something. And Elaine could see it on me. She just binded up that fear, and it really left. I mean, it's really spirit. It really, really left. And I'm like, wow, I feel so much lighter. See, I didn't even know that I had it. Because Satan's not going to tell you, hey, I'm binding you up with fear. I mean, he's not going to tell us that. It can paralyze you. Fear eats faith. It shuts your mouth. It steals from you. Fear robs your destiny. Fear robs your calling. And some of the consequences that Saul encountered and that we encounter of harboring fear, because if we hold on to it, we're harboring it. Disobedience. He was in huge disobedience. Rebellion leads to witchcraft. God's telling you to do something, you don't do it, you go right into witchcraft. Then you start putting that stuff on other people. Torment comes out of that too. I mean, I think Saul was tormented, right? He was tormented at the end. So rebellion, witchcraft, torment, consequences of harboring fear. Also fornication. You have witchcraft, you have all those things. You're going to be eating of other idols. You're going to be eating of more mammon out there. You're going to be eating. And ultimately it leads to death. And it leads to death because you fear more of man than you fear of God. So you're at enmity with God. This is really, really, really serious stuff. In fact, God hates fear. And so I was asking him, I said, okay, God, I want the fear of the Lord. I want to hate the stuff that you hate. That's the right fear. And I had this vision where I could see the bottom of the throne. I couldn't see him. I just saw the bottom of the throne, and I knew he was sitting on it. And it was gold. There were different metals of gold. And out from below the throne, there was gold rivers of gold. And it was flowing out. And I saw, guys, that was the fear of the Lord, that he was giving it to us, each one of us personally, and that he was giving it to us in this house. And it was just flowing out. And I know it's coming. Fear of the Lord is just coming. I want to read Proverbs 8, 10 through 14, if you want to turn to that. Proverbs 8, 10 through 14. It's by the King James. Receive my instruction and not silver and knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all the things that may be desired are not to be compared to it. I, wisdom, dwell with prudence and find out knowledge of witty invention. Verse 13. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil, pride, and arrogancy and the evil way. And he says, in the froward mouth do I hate. He hates all that stuff. He hates all that stuff that Saul had. Evil, pride, fear, arrogancy. So I started breaking it down. And the fear of the Lord is to hate evil. I mean, my God, my parents told me never to hate anything. I mean, it's so opposite. You know, it's so opposite. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil. Hate is an intense hostility, an aversion, an apathy, an extreme dislike. Fear of the Lord is to hate evil. It's an intense hostility, an aversion, an extreme dislike. And evil means profoundly immoral, bad, a force associated with the devil. Evil is the devil. Evil is demonic, harmful, undesirable, and evil is also a manifestation that's in people's actions. And we saw a little bit of that on Outreach Saturday. So it's a manifestation. We are not to hate the people. We're to hate the spirit that controls the behaviors, guys. Evil stuff. We're to hate those spirits. We're to hate the spirit of fear. And we need to hold each other accountable. When you see the spirit of fear, like Elaine saw it on me on Monday, I praise God that she rebuked. No, we got to get this off of you. We need to be humble ourselves and say, if you see it, get it off of me. Because we are to hate evil. The fear of the Lord is to hate pride. Well, what is pride? I always thought, well, you know, I got success and did my school stuff. And, you know, the world tells you, if you have a degree, the world tells you that's pride, you know, to be prideful, to boast. The American dream, the politics, the flag. I mean, that's pride. Well, God hates that stuff. He hates it. If I say, oh, I got a degree. He hates it. I went to this school. He hates it. He hates it. His word says he hates it. Pride, deep pleasure or feeling of satisfaction from one's own achievements. God hates that because you're your own idol. The more pride you have, the more you hold on to things. The more pride you have, I'd say you have more of the poverty spirit. Serious. I think they go hand in hand. For some people, it's money. Just they keep it close. It's pride. Have you ever listened to someone else's message up here and said, wow, what an awesome message. I want to do that. Well, I'm going to tell you that if you didn't have a pure heart and you are saying that, that is wicked pride, guys. That's wicked pride. And that's what the Lord told me to say. You're coveting. You're coveting what he's given someone because you think you can do it better. Like it leads me to arrogancy. Arrogancy. Wait, I'm not even saying that right. Can someone say that for me?
Arrogancy.
Arrogancy. Okay, I got it. Arrogancy is an insulting way of thinking or behaving. Thinking you are better, smarter, or more important than other people. The Lord, I'll be transparent. When the Lord was showing me about arrogancy, he really corrected me. I had a family member say something, and I'm like, Lord, can't you rebuke that person? And he said, oh, I'm going to rebuke you because you're arrogant right now. And that's what that is. I could be done a better way, but oh no. Just like Saul thought he could do it a better way, right? The church thinks they can do it a better way with their programs, with their programs, I guess. It's arrogancy. God also told me to say that when you don't come up to the altar and you know you should, and you're sitting in your chair praying because you want to pray for yourself, that's arrogancy. And he's not going to deliver you or cast it out until you get over yourself. He hates these things. The fear of the Lord is to hate the evil way. And I talked about that, hating the spirits that control the behavior, hating the foundation of evil. hating anything that's got to do with the rebellion and the witchcraft that's going on out there with the Halloween. Hating that stuff. The Halloween business is evil. It's plain out evil. And you have to be crazy to even open your door. Get this, every time that a trick-or-treater comes by someone's house, I swear they're opening their door with an evil way. God hates these things. You know, Samuel said to Saul that obedience is better than sacrifice. And sometimes we just have to just shut the world out, shut out all the things that they want us to participate in and do, maybe that our family needs to do, and we just need to be obedient to God and let Him do all of the rest. Let Him fight our battles for us in that. I want to turn to Exodus 3, 2 through 6. Exodus 3, 2 through 6. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. And I said, well, what is that? Actually, I'm saying that right now. What is that when he turned aside? He turned away from it. And God was sharing with me, He was telling me that some of us are even afraid of His own fire. That's twisted, right? That's we're afraid of it because of this stuff coming in. We're afraid of God's own fire. But it's not going to consume us. Verse 4, when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called out unto him in the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And Moses said, Here am I. And he said, Draw not nigh hither. Put off thy shoes from thy feet, for the place wherein thou standest is holy ground. And tonight I really believe that it's holy ground. God's saying, take off your sandals because He's going to do a mighty work in here. He's going to open up that throne room for us. Verse 6, moreover, He said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. He was afraid. Now that's not fear of the world. That's the reverence fear. That's the healthy fear that we need to ask the Lord for. That's reverence. That's the reverence fear. And lastly, I want to go to Proverbs 9, 10 and 11. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And I'm like, wow. If I didn't have the fear of the Lord, does that mean I didn't have any wisdom? God, help me. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And the knowledge of the holy, take off your sandals, everyone. Victoria, take off your sandals. The knowledge of the holy is understanding. I got to read that one more time so it sets right in my spirit. Now, verse 10, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. For by me thy days shall be multiplied, and the years of thy life shall be increased. So, I want to also read to you Psalm 25:14. We're always asking God, show us the secret places, show us the mysteries, right? Show it to us. Psalm 25:14. The secret of the Lord is with them that fear Him. The secret of the Lord is with them that fear Him, and He will show them, He will show us His covenant. He will show us His faithfulness. He will show us His manifest presence. It's because He's a good God. He's a faithful God. So I really don't know what the Lord wants to do now.